Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Curious Sunshine, where we talk about play. We talk about what it means to have a playful mindset, what it means to step into playful living, how play can be a tool for liberation, and how I've used play to invigorate my life or get out of sticky situations. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And today we are going to talk about play being a tool for liberation and why I think the revolution is going to be playful. So let's just get into it. So we live, and when I say society, I'm in the United States, so this is coming from a place, this is a regional perspective. So we live in an anti-play society, as in societal expectations don't support playfulness. And this is, planned. This is intentional. For example, recess, we only have recess from like preschool to sixth grade. And then the recess where there's fun and games and all this cool stuff goes away in middle school. Definitely not there in high school, not there in college, and not there in the workforce. Why? Why did this idea of taking space to play disappear when intrinsically humans are biologically wired to want and need and desire play throughout our entire lifespan, from the time we open our eyes to the time we take our last breath? So if it's that important to the well-being of us as a human species, then why does it stop at a certain age? And, that goes into also, like, I will stand firm on the fact that there should be adult playgrounds. There should be places for adults to also be able to play without having to pay. I don't want to pay to play. I don't want to play. I don't want to play in a space where I have to fork over cash and or, have to drink alcohol, right? Like a lot of the spaces are like arcades and stuff like that, and it's like, no shade to arcades. Love a good arcade. Seriously, love an arcade. But that shouldn't be the only place that I can play. There should be more places. I mean, if we think about it. So, there should be adult playgrounds. Why not? Like, actually, why not? And it's really only, like, if you look at other places in the world, there are community playgrounds that are catered towards everybody and not just children. Because here, as an adult, you can't just walk on a playground and go play. People are going to think you're a weirdo. But that doesn't negate the need for you to want to go play in play spaces. I mean, think about it. Like, seriously, let's take a second and think, just reflect. What places and spaces around you, around your city, around your town, around your neighborhood, provide playfulness and a place to play for you, for people of all ages? It's probably none. Because we live in an anti-play society. And you have to wonder why. Why do we shut off play so early in our lives? And, this is me. These are my thoughts. Take them as you will. This is not, all my videos are just what I think. And what I feel and what I've observed. So take it with a grain of sand from the sandbox. Or not. I don't care. So I feel like, it's planned, right? When we are playful, when we are happy, we want more out of our lives. It's hard to be a prisoner or live in the matrix or be a cog in the machine. When you have these avenues of joy, when we play, it creates new neural pathways of how we think. shows us new ways to approach things. We want more from our lives. We want to go do stuff that's fun when we are in a playful state. And none of those talk about putting money in the pockets of capitalism, of the capitalism monster. And so, yeah, if I was running a multi-bajillion dollar company, I want slaves, right? That would make sense to want that. And to be that, you can't be playful. You have to almost be in a state of fear and scarcity, and not envision more for your life, and just be like, I need the money. Yes, perfect. Go ahead and work, 70 billion hours a day. I'll give you your check, and then you can feed into your vices because you're stressed. You don't have time to play. You're over here just trying to survive. And I think it's on purpose. I think our playfulness and our imagination are stifled because we're better pawns that way. And when we dive into and reclaim our joy, our imagination, and our whimsy, it's naturally going to go against the role that that is expected of us as functioning humans in this broken society. Even think about like work culture, like what you wear, how you communicate, what you do, what's expected of you. Where is there space for creativity? Where is there space for you to use your imagination? Where is there space for you to express your whimsical nature? There's not. You're there to do the job and leave. But the job you're doing takes up all your day. So then by the end of your day, you're too tired to do any of the other stuff that would make you happy. Intentionally. And so when we play, we allow ourselves liberation. When we reclaim our joy and say, you know what? I know all this stuff is happening. I'm going to be joyful anyways. And you kind of like force the joy, force the whimsy. I think that is a way to fight back, saying, hey, I know that you're expecting me to be this boring, bland adult that only just, wakes up, goes to work, goes home, goes to bed, but I'm actually going to reclaim my humanness and my right to experience joy and happiness by taking in these parts of my life, And so I think that play is a liberating act because you're going against what society expects from you. And I also think that I'm laughing because I always say the revolution can be playful, and people are like, what? Yeah. I think that the current, I guess moving into why I think play is going to be a theme in the revolution. I think our current forms of revolt and protest and really fighting for human rights is great. Marching, really hitting up, the big wigs, the decision makers, and really forcing them to look at something that they already know exists. They know the people making these decisions see the protest, and yet we're still protesting because they see it and they don't care enough to do anything about it. So really looking at, so how do we make people look? How do we force people to look at the injustice that is going on and to make a change? And in order for us to do that, there's this element of play that has to be involved, and play in regards of innovative approaches, being spontaneous, right? If something bad happens, or if something an unjust act is decided on, we can assume that there'll be a march or a protest, right? So how do we add this spontaneous twist to how we show up? And when we do include these parts of playfulness, we create this element of surprise, which I think is needed. And when we create these elements of surprise and these shock factors, this creates traction. This creates attention. This creates momentum. This creates inspiration. And it's hard. I feel like it's hard for us to get into the space of playful protesting because, again, we live in a world that is anti-play. Imagine how innovative our approaches would be if we were inspired and play was promoted throughout. We saw at recess in middle school, high school, in college, and in the work field. Imagine how innovative our approaches would be. Imagine how easy it would be for us to think outside the box and create newness, right? And so I think the play will be revolutionary because it's going to need to be. We're going to have to create things that we've never heard of, that we've never seen. We're going to have to band together in ways that we've never done before. And it's going to have to be whimsical, right? When we think of protests and revolutions and liberation, I think of like pain and bloodshed and sadness and anger. But there is a whole other side of this protest and these revolutionary acts that can also be fun and jovial and playful and mischievous in a way. And really thinking about some people that, exist and have shown up in these ways that are more mischievous and, saying, hey, you're going to hear me. And if not, you're going to hear me anyways because I'm going to bring this element of innovative surprise and mischief into space, and being able to do so without harming people, without creating and going back to those feelings of bloodshed. I mean, we're here protesting and revolting and trying to find equity because of the bloodshed that was already done. Like, we're already here. There's already pain and anguish. And so now how do we now do this thing where we're showing where we're forcing change? It's forcing change. It's not even a part of like communicating like, hey, did you know that what you did is harming us? No, it should be like, you knew that was going to harm us. And now it's our turn to, the ball's in our court to now show you how we feel about that. And there's examples of mischief. Like I read somewhere about glitter being a tactic, right? There's biodegradable glitter because the planet shouldn't have to suffer for the actions of humans. But it's like, glitter's annoying. It gets the job done. And it's mischievous. And it's unexpected. Right? When we are fighting back, we, expect fists and yelling and tears. No one expects glitter. No one expects dance. I heard, I had someone tell me a story of someone speak. I think it was a politician. Every time they would go to speak, and I'm twisting the story just a little, but the main nuggets are still the same. But they were telling me that whenever this like person of power would go to speak at events, there would also be a group that would also host a very loud dance party right next to the person speaking. So then whatever nonsense they're talking about is being drowned out by whimsy and joy. I want to go to the dance party. I don't want to hear what this person has to say. They're not even speaking from a place of trying to help us, trying to help themselves. And so really looking at these fun ways that we can bring these elements of fun and play and mischief to still make a point. There's so much more I want to go into when I talk about play as being a space of liberation and revolution. So we'll call this part 1. We'll call this part 1 because yeah, we want to dive deeper into this. So think about how you can liberate yourself using play, going against the naysayers that can try and tell you that you're too old or too, there's no room for silliness. Of course there's room for silliness. You dictate your life. If you want more silliness in your life, then put more silliness in your life. And people who hate, they're going to hate. They're going to hate if you sit there and stare at the ceiling, or if you do things that make you happy. So you might as well do the things that make you happy. So thinking about how you can create more liberation in your life through the fearless act of play. Looking at other examples around you of how play can be used. Maybe it's just dressing in more bright colors in your office. Really looking at how you could show up and shake things up in your world. Shake up your paradigm. Shake up the status quo by just being a little more playful. And also look at how you are inspired, or the world of the revolutionary acts around you, and the things that you are passionate about, and how you can make the point, communicate a need, or show an injustice through this lens of joy, whimsy, and mischief. So if you have any ideas, any resources, or anything else in that, please leave a comment down below. And thank you for watching, and thank you for playing.